John DeSando.
Classics, let's go to the movies and share some popcorn, soda pop with our friends. Turn off our cell phones and get away. Night or day, it's John DeSando on the radio. We'll watch the credits from up high and low. Cinema Classics on
Cinema Classics is produced by John DeSando. It airs Thursdays at 8:01 p.m. on WCBE 90.5 FM. Listen to shows and read reviews online at WCBE.org.
I'm John DeSando.
And I'm Kevin Carr.
And this is Cinema Classics.
That's right.
And I don't know if we can predict what classics won at the Oscar ceremony, but that's what we're going to be talking about. This just occurred this week. And I don't know, maybe just a better view, just simple. Kev, your reaction?
To the overall ceremony, first of all, I like the fact that it got wrapped up earlier.
Good.
Now, they moved it earlier,
Right.
but it was nice to have a best picture and it be nowhere near 11 o'clock.
Good.
I thought it was a relatively unoffensive Oscars. You know, there was no slap. You know, no one read the wrong Best Picture nomination. Oh, they came close. I mean, Al Pacino did something weird when he announced Best Picture, but no. I mean, overall, it was a nice, smooth performance, and I think that was indicative of award season in general this year.
Mm-hmm. All right, Kev. So let's start right out with the big one.
Yeah.
Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
Now, what happened to Barbie? Maestro? I mean, is Oppenheimer that good?
Well, Oppenheimer was the juggernaut. I think Oppenheimer, there's a lot that we're swirling around. And let's point out that, was it the last 2 years? The winner has been a movie that opened very early in the year.
Yeah.
I mean, Everything Everywhere All at Once
right.
opened in March.
Yeah.
And then Oppenheimer opened in June or July. And usually it's got to be August or later.
Yeah.
So I think the fact that Oppenheimer, it was the subject matter, it was sort of like the people are looking at it as, at least this point, as at least at this point, the pinnacle of Christopher Nolan's career. The subject matter with connections to reality and modern day, but also the fact that it made a lot of money.
Yeah.
And was very, very well seen. I guarantee you that when the ratings all are shuffled out, it's going to be one of the bigger rating Oscars.
Yeah, and when you think of what's happening in Ukraine and everywhere around the world,
sure,
and the possibility of nuclear warfare, and when we think of the legacy from Oppenheimer, I mean, we are feeling that thrust that he showed so well. With that little ball that he had in the back of a truck.
Yeah. Well, and it's the fact that, when the Cold War warmed up and it was no longer a war, people thought this was all behind us, but there's still, nuclear war is always going to be a threat.
It is for sure. Now people probably want to know, Kev, your take on Barbie.
Yeah.
And she didn't seem to be a player in this.
I'm not surprised. I'm really not surprised because Barbie was never going to be an award film.
Yeah.
It had such raging popularity, and I think it deserved to be up there. But I don't think it was ever in the running to win Best Picture. I was surprised though when early in the ceremony, Poor Things came in and swept all those categories that you thought Barbie could have possibly won.
I know.
Costume design, production
This
design.
really elevated my spirits because I thought Barbie, while culturally a phenomenon, was still much more visual than it was anything else.
Yeah.
And the Academy tends to like the heavier duty for its Best Picture.
They tend not to go for the lighter, more fun movies.
Yes, right. And that's of course where I am too. So I'm just feeling really good because it's I don't know. It could be like somebody who believes that Donald Trump is going to be the next president, and then all of a sudden the populace does not vote him in. You say, well, that renews my spirit. That is those people who are supporters of Biden would say that. So it's a kind of similar thing where I think I have a feel for the culture, and I'm thinking, well, maybe Barbie really is gonna take it, then it comes down to it, they're not voting for that.
Yeah, I just think Oppenheimer was too serious of a piece, and
I know.
that put it out over a lot of things. And the same thing with Maestro. Maestro I thought was a fine movie, but it's a lot of there's a lot of movies out there, both Maestro and Killers of the Flower Moon. You'd be like, gosh, if Oppenheimer weren't in there, it might have won.
Yeah, oh yeah, I think Killers might have won without Oppenheimer.
Yeah, I think that probably would have been the second place.
Yeah, but I surely did like Maestro.
I really wish, I would love it if they were to release the voting data. Maybe, you don't want to tell who voted what, but to sit there and say, here's where the percentages were.
Yeah.
Did Oppenheimer just squeak by, or did it completely dominate?
Yeah, that's a good point. All right, the best actor.
Yeah.
It went to Cillian Murphy.
Yes.
And like the picture itself, it seemed to have a momentum that you saw it coming.
Well, and it was always, everyone always looked at it between him and Paul Giamatti.
Yes.
But the thing is, Academy, like they always, if it's between comedy or drama, and I'm not even saying The Holdovers is a broad comedy. There's a lot of dramatic stuff.
It's very subtle.
But the Academy tends to lean into the dramas more for the best actor, best actress.
Yes.
Category.
Yeah.
Although that didn't serve for best actress very well, did it?
There's one that was a surprise to me. I thought the culture was moving toward Lily.
Oh yeah, Lily Gladstone had momentum going.
Whoa! And so I'm completely blindsided by the fact that they, for my feeling, is Emma Stone was far superior to Lily's performance. She had so much more of a role.
It was such a different role. It's very hard to compare the two because both did a great job in their roles. And if either had performed the other's role in that same way, it would have been a disaster.
That's right, yeah. And Lily was more like a Buddha to me, sitting there and just kind of taking in all of our cultural affectations and yes, okay, it'll be Lily because they want to give it to a Native American.
Well, but I think honestly, at already before the ceremony, Lily Gladstone had already won because this is doing wonders for her career. Emma Stone's established. She has already got an Oscar.
Yeah.
She didn't need it, but Lily Gladstone didn't even need to win. She is now on the map. But to that point about drama versus comedy,
Yes.
I do think it's interesting that it went more for the comedy, but even then, like I said, Poor Things I wouldn't categorize as a comedy, but the Academy voting for so many things with Poor Things, I think shows that there is a change in the Academy because of the divisive nature of Poor Things, and I don't think 10 years ago it would have performed as well with the Academy because they've made such an attempt to diversify and bring the age down of the voters.
Okay.
In the
All right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I think that the Academy is showing a certain sophistication or a growth in itself that is beginning to. It feels to me as if it's beginning to look at the art.
Yeah.
And making judgments about the art of the film.
The last 2 years, for sure, are not what would have happened 10, 20, 30 years ago.
I think you're right. I think you're right on that. And you already weighed in a little bit on Christopher Nolan. I just think that he had an easy run as a director. When I look at Scorsese, who's going to give it to Scorsese, right?
Well, Scorsese got his Oscar, so it's okay.
I
He's
know,
already got
that's what I mean, yeah. And Yorgos for Poor Things would have been a good competitor, I think, except that there was that momentum for Nolan.
Yeah, I don't feel, the thing was interesting, I don't feel like Poor Things was like the pinnacle of his career. Lanthimos is still evolving.
He is
as a director. You compare this even to something like The Lobster a couple years ago.
Yeah, I do. He's one of my faves.
Very different.
I know. He is willing to try anything, and he's good.
Yeah.
He loves the offbeats as well.
Oh yeah, but Nolan, as much as Nolan rubs me the wrong way sometimes.
I know he does.
I thought he did a very magnanimous and good speech. And he did make that point. He's like, cinema's only been around for 100 years. Imagine what's going to happen later.
I know. Kev, one of the certainties, I did think Lily was a certainty, but the one that was even more certain was Best Supporting Actor.
Oh yeah, that was always going to be Robert Downey Jr.
Right.
And you gotta just sit there and be like, what did Robert De Niro think during that? Going, oh my God, this is the year that I'm coming in on this, and Robert Downey Jr. Iron Man's going to win over me.
But again, De Niro is, you're going home, you know, what's new? He's good, yes, he's really good.
He's been around.
Yeah,
A lot.
he's been around, and I'm hoping for a year for Mark Ruffalo at some point.
Oh yeah, he's got plenty of time.
He does. And Sterling K. Brown as well has time to go.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's a great actor. I as much as I liked American Fiction and I thought he did some interesting things with it, it was not the standout performance.
No, I think.
It certainly, not to say that his role was bad, but I would say his was the least notable. Same thing like Best Supporting Actress, like with Emily Blunt, that was the one big not win in those big categories that Oppenheimer, I didn't think she was that great.
No, I didn't either.
You know,
in fact, I'm always surprised to see her name on there.
Yeah, you're like, oh wait, yeah, she wasn't that
She
movie.
wasn't on there.
Who didn't bring the laundry in?
And I thought that Naiad was just too small a movie. It was
Yeah.
that Jodie Foster didn't.
I thought Jodie Foster was great.
I did too.
Not Annette Bening though.
No. Boy, that wasn't. Divine Joy Randolph.
Yeah,
She won for The Holdovers.
yeah.
And your feeling about that?
I love it. I think she was fantastic, and I thought she did a nuanced performance. And I thought she came at it with. She was not an unknown because she was in Only Murders in the Building, which kind of has a certain knowledge in the greater zeitgeist, you know. But I think she absolutely deserved it. If you look at the emotional depth of that role, it's absolutely a well-deserved. And she had such a great acceptance speech.
Yes. All right, Kevin Carr.
Yeah.
We're gonna pick this up on our podcast.
Yes.
I believe this would be our highly ranked podcast, Double Take, and we're going to. Hey, we'll start right there. We'll start with Best Original Screenplay. But generally speaking, then again about the year, you're saying this year for Oscars. How are you feeling overall?
I feel good. It was somewhat predictable, but I like the fact that it was spread around a bit.
Yeah, me too.
I think it was the most was 7, which is what Oppenheimer won. So you didn't have this like 11, this number of 11 Oscars to beat.
And I thought that there was some serious good filmmaking going on in all of those nominations.
There tends to be some decent filmmaking
Yeah.
in the Oscars.
I'm John DeSando.
Classics, let's go to the movies and share some popcorn.